Okay, good evening, Mr. Krebeti. We are Group 13 and we are here to present on the work you gave to us, which involves language and meaning construction and some of the components. So, my name is Kingsley J.
And I'm Okoto Asari Victor.
I'm John Osei-Bonsu.
I'm with Puganga Asibi.
Daniel Brigo.
My name is Vivian.
Magdalene Banco.
Cool.
Okay. Basically, I'm here to talk about ambiguity, and it falls under the linguistic pitfalls, which is the inappropriate use of words or language that hinders communication. And when we talk about ambiguity, basically, it talks about having different meanings of what things. Basically, it can be a sentence, it can be a word, and there are several types of it. So I'm going to look at the types one after the other. And we are looking at the lexical ambiguity, and that one talks about words or names having two meanings. So we can talk about something like deep. When we say deep, it has several meanings. You can talk about the inside of something. We're talking about a tunnel being so deep. So basically, it talks about a lexical ambiguity. That is an example of it. And then we're also looking at the referential ambiguity. Basically, when you talk or when you make a statement or a sentence, and then the context does not describe the pronoun or the qualifier of that particular sentence, then basically there is a little bit of what ambiguity in that. So for example, we are looking at Peter hits John with his iPhone and then he died. It could be whether Peter alone did that or John or someone else did that. That was about the ambiguity in that. And you're looking at another one, which is the synthetic ambiguity, and that one talks about a statement or a sentence having two meanings. So talking about, I saw Amma on top of the roof holding a telescope. It could be that Amma was probably viewing through the telescope, or she was just there trying to hold the telescope, or trying to say that I'm going to the bank. If you're going to the bank, it's an ambiguous statement. Basically, it could be whether you're going to the commercial bank or going to the the blood bank, or you're going to the river bank. So it has several meanings. And then we are looking at trying to correct this ambiguity. And how do you correct this ambiguity? It's through a process called the disambiguation. And talking about it, it's basically taking the ambiguity in a sentence or a statement one after the other and making it a full statement which brings about a complete meaning.
Okay, so I'm talking about vagueness. If a statement is vague, it means it has an imprecise boundary. It means like the meaning to the statement is not limited. It's very vast, full of void. And vagueness used in statements gives an impeccable amount of information being conveyed. It means that the information being conveyed is not detailed and doesn't have an amount of clarity that can be used in special places. Especially when someone is applying for a job or something, he needs to avoid being vague in the statement he makes. He needs to avoid being vague because employees demand for specificity, clarity, and in situations that require such things, you need to have complete meaning in your statements. Also, an incomplete meaning. Let's say a question is given like Toyota Camry, Nissan Sentra, Opel Astra, and a Toyota Tundra. You're supposed to pick the odd one out. So with your basic information about automobiles, you just pick a Toyota Tundra because it's an SUV. But this is just a lecture guess I gave. It's not a particular answer. So in conclusion, that kind of question is incomplete in meaning. Also, in the more global defects in this world, there is a high amount of ambiguity, vagueness, incomplete meaning in the global face of the world, such as Central World News, football commentaries, even at the World Cup. The kind of statements made by professionals are not so complete. They lack clarity, they lack specificness. There are no details in the given ones. So an example of a vague incident is like 5 male footballers, which are 3 female and 2 males, got injured in a match. You can also say a few footballers got injured in a match, which is not being specific about the number of males or females that were injured in a match. Thank you.
Okay, the next point is definitions, and it's useful in terms of explaining and classifying a thing. We have two parts, which is the definitum and is the subject matter, and we have the definition. which is the object matter. For example, God equal to creator of universe. So God is the definitum and creator of the universe is the definitum. Definitions. 1. Reportive definition, which is also known as the lexical. We have stipulative definition, and it is used to assign new meaning to a term. For example, CUC, which is Communication University of China. And the last point is precising. It's something in between reportive and stipulative definition. So continue.
Right, and we have criteria for good definition. And under the criteria, we have number 1, use intentional definitions if possible. And under the intentional definition, we have extension and intention. The extension is just the set of things to which the term applies. Example, the set of prime numbers. And the intention is the meaning of the term. Example, prime number. So we are defining the prime number. Is any integer larger than 1 which is completely divisible only by 1 and itself. Number 2, avoid obscurity. That's avoid obscure and metaphorical words. Example, science is searching for a black cat in a dark room. Point 3, avoid persuasive definitions. Yes, and we have techniques for definitions. 1, by ostension. Ostension explains the meaning of a term by giving an example. For example, you can say professionals. Example of professionals are doctors, lawyers, teachers. Yes. And we have by genus differentiatia. That one is first, you categorize the term. Yes, example, an animal, that is an offspring of a male and a female horse. And another example is ice. Ice is frozen water. And we have misconceptions about definitions. One is we have to be clear and precise all the time. It's a misconception. Another misconception is that dictionaries provide the most accurate and authoritative words. Thank you.
Okay, I'm also here to talk about necessary and sufficient conditions. Okay, now when we talk about situations being necessary for the other conditions to happen, we are basically talking about the fact that for something else to happen, it means it depends, okay, on the occurrence of another something. All right, so for example, we can say that it is necessary to have HIV infection in order to have a AIDS disease. So in this situation, we can say that for you to have AIDS, it means you need to acquire the infection HIV. So you having AIDS depends on the occurrence of you contracting HIV. Okay, now there can be situations where in order for one not to be dependent on one, it means there has to be situations whereby one wouldn't happen, then the other one would happen. Okay, then we can say that they are not, it's not a necessary, all right, or it's not a necessary condition for one to happen. And an example is when you say it is not necessary, okay, it is not necessary for you to eat meat before you can live a healthy life. Yes, it's true, because there are people who don't eat meat and they live healthy lives. People such as vegetarians do not eat meat, but they still live healthy lives. So in this situation, living a healthy life, that doesn't necessarily depend on eating meat. Now there are other conditions such as sufficient conditions. Okay, for us to say something is sufficient, it means for the occurrence of one thing to happen. So let's say for the occurrence of A to happen, it means the occurrence of B has to guarantee the occurrence of A. And for example, for us to say that a square should be, for us to say something is a square, it means it has to have a 4 sides. Therefore we can say that it's a square. All right, so that one we can say it is sufficient enough. Otherwise, if it doesn't have foresight, it's not sufficient enough to say that it's a sufficient condition.
Okay, so I'm here to talk about logical equivalence. Statements are said to be logically equivalent if they have the same logical content, that is, if they have the same truth value in all cases. Example, if Lisa is in Denmark, then she is in Europe. Symbolically, Denmark is represented by D and Europe E, hence D is equivalent to E. Two statement forms are logically equivalent if and only if their resulting truths are identical. Example, PQ and QP have the same truth values, so they are logically equivalent. Thank you.
Okay, I'm here to talk on false truths, necessary truths, and contingent truths. Falsehood is a statement that suppresses the truth in order to deceive. It's also known as deceit or dishonesty. Like example, election. Candidates come in to make false promises to people, all for the votes, and this can be known as falsehood. Necessary truth is a proposition that could have been false. It would have been true no matter how things turns out. Example, 17 is a prime number. Kwame is a bachelor, therefore he's unmarried. Contingent truths are statements that happen to be either true or false. Take for instance, stop signs are hexagonal. This is not true, and it can be true because stop signs sometimes they are rectangular, sometimes they're circular, sometimes they're triangular. Thank you.
So in conclusion, from all what we have learned from the components of language and their meaning, we believe that in order to avoid ambiguous and vague statements, we are supposed to give sufficient information about the things we say, and we are supposed to be clear on our statements in order to communicate effectively. Thank you.